this is the last session for this year, so it would be great. Maybe Victor, let's have the spot, which will give an intro of what is GCIO, the Global Council of Innovative Organizations, and then we will introduce the speaker for today.
Hi, my name is Hitendra Patel. I represent the Global Innovation Management Institute. We are honored to be part of the Global Council for Innovation Organizations because we are very excited about the opportunity of spreading innovation globally through certifications and standards. This council that we have put together will allow us to share best practices, exchange ideas between universities, between governments, between companies, between different geographies. It is the exchange of these ideas and this ecosystem that we're building that will help us close the gap and democratize innovation everywhere, and improve the quality of life of every human on this planet.
Thank you very much. I'd like to give the floor to Hitendra to introduce GCIO and the speaker that we have for today. If you can stop sharing the screen.
Well, welcome to the GCIO. Thank you very much for participating on this program. And as played on the video earlier on, the GCIO has come together with the Dubai government excellence program to basically bring frameworks of innovation from around the world. And every now and then we find what we normally do is we'll go to an academic institution, we'll go to corporate institutions, we'll go to governments and say, what framework are you using to drive innovation to make it real? And every now and then we want to put inside there the entrepreneurial spirit of individuals of pulling together the best of technology, the best of market needs, and integrating them into solutions that we have not yet imagined. Jordi is a great friend and a great colleague. He and I have met a couple of times. We have had great dinners together. And he has always brought entrepreneurial people around him. And he talks about some of the great things going on in the Boston-Cambridge ecosystem. And this Boston-Cambridge ecosystem is one of the most vibrant ecosystems in the world, where the best people are attracted to it because of institutes like MIT and Harvard and others. But also there's a whole bunch of startup communities which are doing things that are always surprising people. Jordi comes from Spain, that's his country of origin. But he's very diverse, has been everywhere in the world, which is one of the requirements for innovation to really to flourish. Is people with many, many perspectives are going to see connecting those perspectives together in new and different ways. And what he has been driving is from robotics to basically human psychology and integrating those kind of things together to create digital, mechanical, as well as human interfaced solutions. And therefore, one of the things I'd like to mention is he's one of the leaders of bionics. And those of you who used to pay attention to $6 Million Man and things like that, where machines and computers are thinking for you, this is it. So Jordi, first of all, welcome. Let's put both Jordi and myself together on the screen. He's the chief scientific officer at Lighthouse Dig. So let's put both faces just to say hello to each other, and then we'll set the rules and guidelines and let Jordi speak. So Jordi, please. And can you please spotlight both of us? Thank you. Okay. So Jordi, that's great. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. It's like such a huge honor to be here today, this morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
So Jordi, at this moment, this message has been broadcasted out across the globe, and our partners are in every continent. And our members are virtually excited and thrilled to hear from you. So Jordi, I'm going to give you the floor. We will have 30 minutes and then we'll do a Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Hitendra. Thank you very much. Hello to everyone. I'm going to start to share my screen and my presentation. I hope that if anything goes wrong, it's someone from the organization, a wonderful organization, very patient, especially with me. They are letting me know.
You can see your presentation.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Perfect. So as Hitan introduced, it's like I have been working for like over 20 years right now in the intersection between humans and machines. And what I want to focus today is to work in two verticals. The first one is about something that today's technology allows us to do, that it's called perceptual control theory applied to human behavior. And the second thing is to talk about now that we are in this era of artificial intelligence, large language model, and very advanced robotics. It's to see how we deal with like these responsible solutions from an ethical, moral, and legal framework. The idea that I structure my presentation is like, first I'm going to do a short introduction about me. The idea of this short introduction is just to put like more like the spot about who I am and how I arrived to where I have arrived. And the second, and then it's like I will go very fast to showcase with a lot of pictures and projects that I have been working on. So and then I will get a little bit into some technicality.
El doctor me puede cambiar la cita, porque el viernes no me puede recibir. Entonces, okay.
So yeah, so it's like and then after the 30 minutes, it's like we'll be super interested about see all the questions that are coming from. So I hope that this can inspire all of you a little bit. So just to let you know, my background is in computer science and electrical engineer. I studied in Spain. But before finishing my undergrad studies, I started my first company in home automation and energy efficiency. So from the beginning, I was very interested in everything related to real applications of new knowledge generated in disruptive environments. I believe that universities, they are like the ones that should generate knowledge. They should train people. And through the new knowledge and the knowledge, technology, knowledge awareness, we can drive disruption and new innovations. However, there's like a big gap to be covered from that point to the industry. So it's like I started a company. I realized about the importance of the university. I started to work at LaSalle. I worked at LaSalle for 14 years. At that time, I realized that the prototypes were not working properly, the ones that we were designing. So I co-founded another company, a software company, to build industrial prototypes and to approach our prototypes to the industry. Then I moved to the Netherlands, from the Netherlands to Tufts University. Here in Boston, I start to realize about how to create tech transfer units and events, networking events like conference, where we were approaching not only academia, but also industry and people and families. But I realized that without experience to work for like a international big corporation, it was unable to understand like the full scope of the tech transfer. And then I decided to quit academia and join the Japanese company NTT, the consulting branch NTT Data, and to be part of like innovation cell unit created inside MIT, where I did research for 3 years called Boston Exponential Hub. And I was at the personal robots group. What we were doing is like to drive innovation of corporations from academia to the idea of like products. And then I decided to spin out the company that I co-founded called Lighthouse, where we build minimum valuable products for companies. As you can see, it's like I combine that leading the robotics unit at the Barcelona Children's Hospital, and right now also being part of one educational program at Harvard Medical School with the Brigham and Women Hospital to put robotics in health, and part of the directors of LaSalle, Mexico, when we try to drive innovation from academic ecosystems. And I'm super interested about social entrepreneurship. That means creating companies with social impact, like this collaborative online robotics platform that I'm talking about. My background, as I said, it has been robotics and AI. We combine with other disciplines from my colleagues, but what I want to focus today is about what we're talking about how we can empower robotics, AI systems together with humans, and how we use that technology to improve quality of life and drive the behavior of people. Before establishing the fundamentals of that, I would like to highlight some of the projects that I have been involved. At the left side, you can see a lot of small dinos. That was at the Barcelona Children's Hospital. And we were proposing having like these pet robots in order to drive the emotional state of kids at the hospital site, especially kids that they were in chemo or like in different cancer treatments, as an alternative to clowns or like dogs in therapy. And the idea is like the behavior of the dino was like driving the behavior of the kid. Then we changed the dino to a turtle that we designed, and we designed the turtle after discussing with like different pet animals concept. And on the right side, you can see different kids with traumatic brain injury because of car accidents, because the falls, etc. And we designed an initial Lego-based robot platform to drive cognitive recovery at home instead of having to move to the hospital and do the recovery at the hospital site. Also, when I moved to Tufts, that project that I mentioned before with all the Lego that you can see on the right, it moved to the one that you have at the corner left. It was Hooky, and it was a robot that was driving sessions with groups of kids with autism. And the robot was trying to drive the behavior of the kids to a point where the therapy done by the therapist, it was much more effective. And the kids were building different robot stuff. And I was very much trying to create a robot, a cloud robotics agnostic to the robot platform. So on the right side, you can see that the same therapy were being empowered and driven by different robot platforms. The humanoid now, the ISOI on this robot, the Hooky that we designed, and then we also modified the Lego software in order to understand what kids were behaving when they coding the robot. More recently, in collaboration between MIT, Hyundai Motors, and the Barcelona Children's Hospital, we designed a robotic car who was able to sense the heart rate, the breathing rate, the facial expressions, the movement about a kid before going into surgery, and powered by AI. And the robot as a social agent. The car has a face, interacts with the kid, talks to the kid, plays music. It can throw bubbles, soap bubbles. It has like a fan to move the air. The seat it's moving as an haptic seat to regulate the biosignals of the kid. The car reduce the anxiety and the stress of the kid, give feedback to the doctors, and then the kid can go to surgery without pre-medication. What have a lot of benefits and saving a lot of money for them. But what is behind all those systems that augment the capabilities, the quality of life, but also the capabilities of the health facilitators like nurses, therapies, etc. So sorry for the technical part, but it's at the end, it's a theory that came from psychology from 1950s, more or less, 52, 53, and it's called perceptual control theory. The perceptual control theory, it's based that everyone as a social agent, we try to be under control of someone else. When you talk to another person, when you meet another one, when you play a soccer game, when you play a tennis game, when you play cards, when you watch TV with someone else, all the time. Sometimes you are aware, sometimes you are not aware. You try to be under control of the situation. The way that you behave in order to control other people, it's called perceptual control theory. And that it's based as ourselves as controllers. And it's like social agent controllers. Today's technology allow us to do two different things. First, to build artificial social agents that can control people, but also to understand people behavior. What I divided in what it's called micro behaviors. So I can digitalize all those behaviors, understand the intensity of those behaviors, the length of those behaviors, the period of time that they are performing, and the frequency. And with all that parameters, I can get patterns and I can understand what people are doing. Let me put an example. It's like if I'm behaving in a very genuine way and I'm being very honest to all of you, and I'm talking to you, there's two parameters that are relevant. One parameter is the silence between words. If I'm doing as I said before, I have like a specific distance that it's my digital print. It's only me who has that specific distance between words. If I start to tell you a lie, and that's not what I'm trying to do, I will have to think about the words that I'm going to say. They are not going to come to my mind in a natural way. What it means, like the space between words, it's going to be wider. If I'm using personalized machine learning only based on my speech, I can understand when I try to modify the content of what I'm talking with a specific purpose, or I'm being genuine and I really don't care about what I'm telling because I'm being very genuine and I'm just trying to express what is coming to my mind, like I'm doing right now because I feel like very comfortable and I want to communicate that. Second parameter that is very important is the words that I'm using. If I'm being genuine and I'm being honest, like I'm doing right now, I feel more free. I don't need to be as concentrated as I'm lying. And then the types of words that I'm using, it's more diverse. If I look about how many words I'm using in a period of time, it's much higher if I'm talking without any pressure or like I'm trying to control what I'm saying. Because I will start to repeat more words in order to be sure that I'm under control. With all these two parameters, it's a kind of example about those behaviors. Then I can move to other concepts like proxemics, that it means the distance within people. So if for instance, we go to like a kind of dating concept, in a dating concept, it's like we do trial and error. We meet someone and we want to see, okay, it's like it's open to meet in a more intimate environment or not. So what I'm doing is like I'm approaching and then I'm getting, it's the distance between people. It's divided in three spaces: intimate space, comfort zone, or disengagement zone. I can get like into the intimate zone and then get out immediately in order to not stress the other person and see how the other person is reacting. And then I'm getting close again. Sometimes then I'm moving to use like the touch, changing the voice. So there's a set of behaviors that they have a specific goal. If I'm able to censor those behaviors, I'm able to estimate what's the goal of that person. And in some cases, I can have like a desired behavior. And then based on the gap between the goal that I'm perceiving of that person and the desired behavior, I can ask a social agent to behave in a specific way in order to correct that gap and get the objective that it's the desired behavior. And then that the behavior detected and the desire are exactly the same. And that is a success of the therapy. It's a success of like a treatment that could be keeping the kid relaxed or like or engaged in the case that I want to apply to a different domains. And when that put into like engineering background, what you see, it's like we have an agent and the agent needs to perceive what is going on into the environment. We, in general, on my research, I use like something called Markov chains that allows me in an easy computing load to predict what is going to be the next step. So when I control something, instead of controlling what is happening now and then correcting when it's wrong, I'm trying to control what is going to happen next and being in a preventive way. estimating what is going to happen and then trying to correct what is going to happen and not what has happened. Imagine that you are in a phone call and someone stopped the call. Calling again, it's a huge effort. If someone falls into depression, getting out of depression, it's very difficult. But if I predict that that person is going to stop the call, and I start to use like social strategies to keep the call going, it's much easier. The same happened with depression. If I can detect that next step is going to be get into like burnout, depression, anxiety, and I can do something to avoid that, I can drive like a better human behavior. So it's like what I need to do is like understand, okay, what I want that person to do, what are like the set of behaviors and the patterns and the sequence of those behaviors that model a specific task or objective, and then use like physical sensors, like a camera, like a microphone, virtual sensors, like, okay, it's engaged, it's happy, that it's part of software together with like physical and digital sensors, and then through like an orchestrator and a system, use technology in order to create a context where like that specific goal, it's optimized. And you will see that with some examples. So it's like just to have an idea with like the same diagram, but a little bit much easier. SAR stands for Social Assistive Robot. You will have the robot, we have a target user. We sense what is happening. In some cases, we survey the person. A lot of people are using super high technology to understand if someone is happy or sad, or like if someone is going to come to a meeting. And sometimes the easiest way to know that is, how do you feel today? And if you say, I'm happy, okay, you don't need any more sensor. You already know how it's feeling. Use verbal communication as a super powerful sensor. The same is like, are you coming to the meeting today or checking the agenda? It's enough. You don't need to sense the movement and stuff like that. You try to keep things easy. And then with like IoT systems and robotic systems, we get objective data. And then through conversation and asking people and analyzing speech and movements, you get subjective metrics. And combining both, you can understand what people are behaving. And let me put an example. This is like, it's in a scenario of like humans doing an activity. Those humans in that activity, they had nothing. They had like a robot that was performing random, a robot that was pointing to, that was suggesting verbally to do an activity or pointing directly to that activity. What is important is to see like the blue line that it's engaged. Sorry for the close to the lost, that it's light blue, but the dark blue, it's engaged. And you can see that it's like when you combine physical, non-verbal with verbal communication, and you have the social agent being very expressive, the engagement it's much more higher. So having like that system based on perceptual control theory with another social agent as a controller, and not only voice and not only signs, you can get a better engagement of what's happening. Some of the projects that I have been involved, and we have applied this technology. We have one project with the Barcelona Children's Hospital right now running the pilots, where we have in the region of Catalonia in Spain, we have about 7 million people in palliative care. These are like in pediatric palliative care, children that are in the latest stage of life. The idea is like these families and children, they will recover much better at home instead of the hospital, but you really need them to behave in a proper way, collect the data and transfer that data to the hospital. So the hospital can be prepared for readmissions of that kid and increase the survival rate. And we use like a social agent that you can see in the picture through a software to try to monitor all the behaviors of that family and that kid at home. At Brigham and Women Hospital, together with Harvard Medical School here in Boston, we have like a teddy bear that is perceiving how people are feeling at the hospital and trying to predict if they are going to stand up from the bed, and only unpredicted falls at the hospital site, it and causes $34 billion issue in the United States. So if we can predict and we can help people to stay laying on the bed instead of standing up, that is going to be much better. We are working with a company that has 600 schools around the world with 200,000 kids learning English as a second language, and we want to improve how they are learning the English. We have like a robot that is helping to open ticketing and to guide people inside an office in a company, in a project that is in a very embryonic stage, that we want to improve your image as a image coaching plan. We have like an avatar that is helping you to dress properly and to put your ornaments and stuff like that in the proper way. And then we work in a project in Spain called Never Home Alone, and we have a robot that is trying to drive people that are working independently at home good behavior so they stay healthy. They do exercise, they go to the bathroom, they eat when they have to eat, etc. This is the example of the Brigham and Women Hospital with the teddy bear, and that is what I mentioned about the behaving and the issues with like the impact that it has. Because the red button for the emergency call, it doesn't work because nurses are overloaded. So from all the technology that they have at the hospital and the microphone, we move it to a social agent that it's talking in a very friendly way and try to gather the position, the pain, the personal needs, and if they have to go to the bathroom. As I said, all those technologies, and it's like 5 minutes and then I will be over because we have like the close time, and then I'm open to talks. As you can see, we have technology trying to control people. Technology has been used and it's going to be used a lot to improve people's quality of life. That's not going to change. AI and robotics are not going to take jobs. People that use AI and robotics are going to take jobs of people that don't use it because they improve their performance and their precisions. There's two ways of using that technology. One, it's humans that use technology like ChatGPT. Other technologies, you don't know it. The technology is behind of you and it's controlling your behaviors to improve your quality of life. So the technology, it's controlling you. Sometimes you control the technology, sometimes the technology is controlling you. In the intersection of both, we will see technology implanted, embedded with human bodies. And that is, I believe that it's the future, that we will have like an augmented brain. We will have like an augmented strength, and we will be integrated with the technology. And that is what it's called augmented humans. Of course, people are not judging humans the same way that they are judging technology. And in terms of business, you need to be aware about that. So there's a book that you have the link here. It's a book that is for free, not selling the book. You can go to the link, you can download the PDF. It's about how humans judge machines, and we run a study with different people. So you need to be sure that the solutions are ready to be deployed. And all those technologies and all those implications need an adoption process because you have AI systems that behave like social agents. So you need to test it into the environment. And then there's 3 things that you need to take into account. Everyone take into account the legal framework. Not everyone is aware about the performance framework as the solution, but what everyone talk about, but don't follow recommendations and don't monitor properly, I believe, that's my opinion, it's the ethical and moral framework that makes sure that those technologies provide a better quality of life and not abusing about the society. In order to do the regulatory framework, there's a lot of trustable AI from EU, also a lot of like HIPAA, compliant if it helps, GDPR. There's a lot of law that protect that, but also there's a lot of legal principles that you need to follow. What it's very interesting for me, it's like we have succeed and we work on that project, and that's a previous research that we did with Cesar Hidalgo with a book that he wrote and that I'm a co-author about how humans judge machines. That it's we can model the wrongness of AI robotic solution in the different moral dimensions. So we can see the intention and the harm that we are causing, and the harm could be in physical and psychological harm, fairness, loyalty, authority, purity, based on who is judging that and where, and based on who is doing the action. And you can see one of the stories, we put 80 stories. You can see the number 55, 80 stories, and we ran Mechanical Turk in the US to understand how people were like grading in terms of if it was good or bad. So when we bring one technology that it's not in a white or black legal framework, we can help to see the gray area if it's more black or white, and if we need to change it or not. Just to finish my talk, I would like to see more of the projects with pictures, projects that I have been directly involved with a robot from Carnegie Mellon on the left, interacting with kids to make them happier and to interact each other. Robot helping to teach math at the top in Spain. At the right side, you can see Africa, my daughter, with Tega and with Jibo from Personal Robots Group at MIT learning English with a robot enhancing them. Humanoid robot from Barcelona, RIM in the Netherlands, helping meetings to do networking. Robot at the bottom left from PAL Robotics, also from Barcelona, helping to navigate into office and to interact with the employees, find people and stuff like that. Cutie robot, a robot that next to it that we designed for kids with autism. A robot controlling a classroom in Spain too. Then the pet robots with children in chemo, and at the bottom right, a robot in the palliative care that I mentioned before. And with this, I'm sorry that it's 35, probably 5 minutes over time. I would like to finish my conversation. I'm super open to questions and discussion. Thank you very much.
Jordi, that was fantastic. And I think it's very light in terms of the framework and everything, so we can understand it. And then we also understand the importance and the power of what you guys are doing. So if you guys, again, let's just make sure we are sharing the view between Jordi and myself. We're going to do an advertisement right now, and then we'll come back to some Q&A. So Victor, go ahead.
المجلس العالمي للمؤسسات المبتكرة مجلس فريد من نوعه، يمثل مؤسسات عالمية من مختلف قارات العالم. هذه المؤسسات مختصة بالابتكار وبدعم الابتكار وبتعزيز ثقافة الابتكار في المؤسسات وفي الجهات الموجودة في مختلف هذه الدول. المجلس بيكون له دور كبير في دعم تبادل ونقل المعرفة ونقل الابتكارات الموجودة في مختلف قارات العالم ومختلف المؤسسات الموجودة على مستوى العالم، ودعمها وتأثيرها ونقلها للمؤسسات الموجودة سواء في دبي وفي دولة الإمارات أو على مستوى الدول المشاركة في هذا المجلس. برنامج دبي للتميز الحكومي يعتبر أحد الأعضاء المؤسسين لهذا المجلس، والبرنامج كان له دور وباع كبير في دعم الابتكار والمبتكرين على مدى 20 سنة الماضية، من خلال المبادرات اللي يقدمها، من خلال الفئات الموجودة في جائزة برنامج دبي للتميز الحكومي. البرنامج له دور كبير في هذه المبادرة، وسيدعم الابتكار والمبتكرين وثقافة الابتكار على المستوى المحلي وعلى المستوى العالمي، وسيساهم في نشر كل الإنجازات وكل الابتكارات الموجودة على مستوى دبي للعالم بأسره.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Haza from the Dubai Government Excellence Program. He is the partner of the Global Innovation Management Institute, and we were the founders of this organization together. And we met just a week and a half ago, planning for 2024. Lots of exciting things are going to come together next year also. So Jordi, first of all, I think the most important thing here is we look at this presentation you did. There's a couple of ideas in there that are going to be really, really exciting for the community. On one side, as simple as that, do I know how I think? And do I know how other people think? And can I use that for leadership types programs so that we can be better at collaborators, better at being a team player and all that? Because you've basically pulled out the elements of what makes a human being know when he's lying, when he's being truthful, when does he need to not collaborate, when does he need to collaborate. So when you break it up, now we can actually choose those things because we can understand them. We'll talk about that a little bit. The second one, I think, is a very important one, which all of us are interested in. Every framework of innovation we're creating is this thing called ethics. And ethics are going to become incredibly important. And you have also taken the time to understand a framework to embed into anybody else's framework what could be ethical, right? So there's two very good ideas. And then you've got lots of case studies of how we are using these things. So the first one is I'll just hit you with a personal question, and then we'll go to some serious. First question is, since you are such an expert in terms of understanding why you do what you do, why other people do what they do, how does this interact inside your personal life and your social life and your team life? How are you able to separate out and not start putting people in buckets, saying that person's doing this thing, I'm doing this thing? So I just want to ask you, are you using it for yourself? And how do you avoid putting people in buckets?
So it's like, just to put an example, it's like if you are a medical doctor, and I have been working a lot with medical doctors, and they cannot avoid to diagnose whatever that is happening with other people. It's like because it's like as you can see, it's like I have been very much also related to health technologies, working with different hospitals around the world. So I have a lot of friends who are medical doctors, and when they see it, like, okay, it's like I know, it's like I have like a little, that has happened, and they are just diagnosing you. So it happens a little bit. It's difficult to apply it to yourself, like everyone, and it even increased like kind of the insecurity. But that's true. That I think that it also helped me to be, I want to believe, like a better person, because I made a lot of mistakes in the past because I didn't understood how my actions were going to affect others, and let others affect my actions. And now I know how to deal in this control to control system. So it's like, we can see a lot of inspirational talks of videos that it's like, okay, if someone insults you, then it's like you ask what is happening to that person because maybe it had a bad day. So at the end, it's like it's that ability to create a model, also called theory of mind, but a model of the other agent, and then doing an action that it's trying to drive that model. So yeah,
Jordi, on that front, we used to work with a very famous Harvard professor. His name was Cantrell, Dr. Cantrell, and he studied that people change their behavior under stress.
Yeah.
And so he says the choices we make when we are not in stress are one set of choices, and we are very civilized at that moment. And then when we put pressure on people and they're under stress, they feel time is short, or they feel threatened, or they feel something, the amygdala takes over, and the amygdala over the cortex is winning, and therefore we lash out and we do things like this. In your model, have you been able to introduce that notion that under stress, we behave differently versus in normal civilized environments?
Yeah. In fact, in my previous collaboration with Entity Data, my colleagues, they were working in a project called Business Angel, who was like, if there was detecting a lot of stress, they were creating like a buffer in your emails, so the email was not getting out of like your outbox to avoid the regret feeling. Assuming that it's like you behave different, and sometimes it's the best thing that you have to do. It's like not do anything, and if you talk to people. Okay, how do you deal with the stress? Okay, I don't take any decision in the next 24 hours, or like I'm going for a walk. So at the end, it's like trying to change the level of it. You behave different, and it's in a very unstable situation to even control the behavior. So yeah, that is like it's a stress detector. It's like it's a really main thing because of affect not only your health but your behavior, as you said, and that's critical. And I don't know how improve your actions when you are under stress.
Very good.
Yeah.
So Jordi, we got a question from Ron Jonesh, and I'm gonna put the spotlight on him. And this is now applying your theory into how consultants work to try and get engagement and getting projects started, the initiative started, everything else. So Ron, your question?
Yeah, so very interesting presentation. Thank you very much. And very interesting about the potential for behavioral economics and a whole bunch of related disciplines that we're all interested in as innovation people. The one I'm particularly interested in is, seems to me, one of the areas we have the most problems with are complex or more complex ecosystems or networks where we have different players who engagement's not going to be enough. You have to move from engagement to excitement to alignment to collaboration to commitment in some way. So they don't all have to be committed, but some do. They don't have to be aligned, but most do. And so you've got multiple personas. And I can see how this can work very well for one patient. Obviously, multiple patients are all different, but in a value chain or ecosystem, everybody's very different. So how can this deal with that level of complexity, do you believe? Because I think it has huge potential when you're trying to manage complex organizations or complex ecosystems.
Yeah. So I thank you very, very much for the question. It's like, believe it or not, and the audience, probably they won't believe that. It's like, but because it can even look like it was premeditated, the question, because we already work on a solution. It's a commercial solution. We call readiness assessment tool for like innovation collaboration in complex ecosystems. And what we do, it's like something that it is not easy to do with all the corporations, that we created like combining AI and synthetic data, a questionnaire that asked a total of 60 questions, and we got 40.4 million answers. We create different, could be, it depends about the approach. The approach could be to understand the model of the people, department, company, ecosystem, or it can go to understand to assess what they have and why they have a specific problem. If they want to assess what is happening, we analyze, we do a due diligence of the project, the company, whatever, and we create those questions, and then we run the test and we create a model about what's happening. And it's a dashboard that indicates if that person is a donor, it's what we call a vampire, it contributes, it's a taker. And we create a model of the different behaviors that affect that specific purpose. And if it's not, it's a company. We have been running that very successfully in the last 2 years. We started to work on that technology in 2019. So yeah, it's like to analyze, okay, it's like I have my corporation and I want to be part of that ecosystem. Am I ready to do that? Am I have the right people to do that? What is going to happen? Where I'm going to be stressed? Where I'm going to suffer? Where I'm going to succeed? What are my main values to contribute to the other people? And then in a university collaboration, we create an empathic model where like we can say, okay, I have this university from Chile. How well it's going to work with these universities from Boston? Where they are like compatible, where they are not, where they are strong, where they are weak. And then it's like how I have to drive that consortium based on my strength and my weakness. So yeah, so in summary, what we did, because I applied very much to AI agent, health and education and environment, it's in a company, it's very surveys and questionnaire based. And then we combine asking questions to choosing scenarios. If I ask you, are you going to spend money to get a new product? Or like, are you going to hire that person? You can answer yes or no, both questions. But if I ask you, choose spending money to get like the new technology or hiring that person. If I ask you different questions like this, also you rank the questions and you create different priorities. And then I can combine your answers with that priorities. And each question we codify with different attributes, and then we combine with the AI system that generates the models of that behavior. And
So this can be used both to kind of simulate behavior and help you build ecosystems or networks. It can be used to help you change the behavior, and it can help you to kind of monitor it over time as you're trying to get more people engaged or excited about what you're trying to do.
Yeah, like
Right.
yeah, for instance,
So
some
use of personas. That's amazing.
yeah, exactly. It's like what we're trying.
Extraordinarily valuable.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Ron, for the question. Let me keep on moving you into where I think everybody should be thinking hard about this. Everybody has innovation frameworks for criteria, selecting a good project, for example, selecting people who have got the right mindset and all that. And in there embedded is this thing about ethics and ethical frameworks. The question for you is, ethics are kind of subjective. Let's say if you're working for the government and you're looking for quote unquote a nerve agent, right? Their ethics are slightly different than the ethics of a corporation, where you might be trying to serve a different community. And then you go to another place where go back to the Roman Empire, or you go back to the Danish invasion of England on the last kingdoms of 14th century, or whenever that was. And here might is right, and some other behaviors are also accepted. So ethics has got some sort of, there is a conditional definition on that. And it changes. How do you suggest, as we all move into AI-based frameworks of innovation, to integrate your model and saying, look, our model can help you with certain inputs to define what the ethics of this community is. And therefore, it will tell you yes and no on good or bad projects, or good or bad partnerships, ethical partnerships, or good or bad other things. Because I think ultimately ethics is a glue for keeping us all tied together, as long as we agree on our ethics. Right? So help me think through how your AI platforms can help us with our innovation frameworks. And Victor, you're next on the question. So your question is coming up next.
Okay. So yeah, Hitendra, it's like, thank you very much for the question. So it's like, I don't know if you are aware, but you already gave the solution to your question. The thing is like in the general approach about ethics, it's like, it's a normative, it's what it's called a normative approach, that it's someone that it's an expert, it's telling you what you have to do. And that it, as you said, it works very well if you know the context, and it's a corporation or like it's a government or like whatever. If you don't know the context, then what you need to do, and you also pointed that, you need to ask people what they think about that. So our approach is like, we create several fiction situations, and then we ask people what they think about that. And then, because you said ethics are very subjective, full agree, but you can get quantitative data to get subjective perception, and then drive your models based on what people think. Because if everyone in the world think that something is wrong, it doesn't matter if you believe, the government believes that it's good, they are not going to follow that. And the opposite, it happens again. You can try to ban a technology, but if it's super useful, it is super good, people are going to, I don't know how, they are going to keep using it. And that's how you can see in different regions that Facebook or other technologies has been forbidden, that they have been massively used even when it was forbidden. And then it's like, as I said, it's the approach. For me, it's like, it's what it's called a positive approach, that it means that you are asking the people that are in that area with a lot of simulated or fiction situations that end up good, end up bad. They create different scenarios. You see what people think. People, they are judging based on adjectives, and there's science behind that, that when I'm using a specific adjective in specific context, it means that I'm feeling in a very ethical and moral way. We divide it in those 5 moral dimensions that are accepted, and then you can see, okay, this specific policy that I'm going to apply, I don't know, to let people have 1 week of vacation every 2 months, it's going to be perceived as extreme of freedom, and that's bad, or it's going to be extreme of control. Derivated to that, in one project that we work with another company, we create a mathematical model of the Overton window, to evaluate politics and see how changing the text we can change the perception and the position inside the Overton window. So anyway, so I think that it's creating that fiction scenarios, that simulated scenarios, and getting the information from the people that are living in that specific ecosystem to understand what is ethically and morally correct on that specific environment.
Very good. Victor, let's add you as a spotlight. You had your hands up and you have a question.
Of course. So first thing, thank you, Jordi, so much. I'm very fascinated about behavioral science and how psychology plays a role in all of this. And something that was very intriguing for me was your example of how to detect lies based on the spacing or the pauses between the words. My curiosity is, how were you able to reach this insight? Was it driven by big data and AI? Or was it like an insight that you got from a seasoned expert and then you confirmed it? Or were you able to prove it with all the data that you had available?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And let me put an example about another project to answer your question. So the question is getting information from experts that are very reputed in the area. And that's the reason because I like to be very close to academic environment, because there's a lot of people that from big data but from their expertise, they gather that knowledge. I just pointed one of the best projects I ever have been involved and I'm doing in robotics. It's the one with the Brigham and Women's Hospital. Why? Because a medical doctor, Samir Tulabev, he is leading the project and he's the medical doctor. It's impossible for me to understand the variables, the concepts, the experience of all those years of that person leading units at hospitals, Spalding, Brigham, in different hospitals, about how people behave in a hospital room. And I'm creating the digital version of that. I'm doing the easy task. I'm doing the digital transformation of the psychology of the human behavior. It's like, it's a little bit unfair that I'm giving that talk to you today, because all that people are the really experts that they know about how they behave. And what it's cool is like the new technology allows us to create that digital twin and digital version of that behavior. And that is kind of the new thing that is happening right now. Technology was not ready enough a few years ago. And now it's like, oh my God, it's like now I really can get extremely good results because yeah, it's like we have like a more social technology. And of course, that drives a lot of ethical and moral problems if we do it wrong. Yeah.
Thank you, Victor. Great question. Hypothesis-based or data-based, and how do we get to the insight? And they go both ways usually, but experts still are owning a lot of that dots and data. So let me go, Jordi. Let me take the next part of the question. As you showed that really nice graphic where you had the human controlling the robot, but the robot then controlling the humans. And we have seen, as you become experts in behavioral science, and you understand us better than we understand ourselves, and you understand how to even move us in any direction, because now you can push the right button or push the right things to move us in any way. We move into what I would call product development or marketing. Excuse me. And we, as consumers who will not have the billions of dollars of research that you guys will have behind you to create this sort of models, are only relying on our cortex and our ability to keep our amygdala in control to fight in choices that we are making, which we think are our choices. No longer are those choices ours. Those choices are in your hands because you know how we are. And we see the elections and political systems manipulating that at Cambridge Analytica. We see that with organizations who are trying to make you buy one more potato chip, or make you drink another beverage, or make you watch another Netflix, or make you watch something else. And they're beginning to understand us better than we are. And now we are moving into addictions. And our consumers don't even know what they're doing, and they're just consuming, and changing directions on fear and hope and things like that. So my question to you is, where are we on that? And what is the consumer's ability to know that they made that choice, or was it your choice?
Yeah, so that's Hitan, that's a very good question, and that is also happening with the solutions that we were doing in therapy. That it's like that at certain point the kids, they have to leave the doctors and let them go away, and that they were like attached and addicted to the robot, and then they had to, like when we are breaking a relation. So the what users can do, and something that it's like that we are trying to focus right now, in order to have like more reputed sales skills of people. It's you can have like a meter, like a dashboard that it's indicating. It's like your performance versus a product. It falls into a dangerous zone. That it means that it's alerting you. Be aware. You are not really interested about this. If you are being addicted to this or too attached to this, it's like this is a warning. It's like you are getting into the red zone. That it's like you can say the same. It's like if it's suddenly you start to drink a lot every day, say, okay, it's like that's a little bit too much. So you can model the behavior and then trigger a like alarm saying, hey, it's interesting. We have applied to the learning English. So we created a digital twin of like the regular English learning classes. We want kids to use the application, but we don't want them to be addicted to the application. We don't want to be too much time in front of the screen. We want them to. So we generate a set of behaviors that is saying, okay, that's too much for today. And then being ethically and morally correct, we create the behavior of the agent to disengage. The same thing that happened with like your friends. That it's like if someone get like, okay, that's too much, it starts to disengage with you, not paying attention to you. And we design the systems to be able to disengage in a way that it's not creating that stress on that person. So I believe that it's like, everyone should have like a system that it's like a health system, that it's modeling their behavior in a very specific, like using a specific shopping app or like a specific interaction application, and letting it like, look, it's like, that's what happened. That's what you should do in order to perform well. Yeah.
Great, Jordi. We are at 10 o'clock and people signed up for a 1 hour slot for this webinar. I think it should have been 2 hours and 3 hours. It's so exciting and so compelling because it affects all of us and our families and our societies and everything else. And so we'll continue talking. So stay online for a few more minutes. But for those who have to sign off, I just want to make the formal announcement. Thank you very much for participating on the Global Council for Innovative Organizations monthly webinar. We do this every month, and we are inviting members to join us, organizations who would like to share frameworks. We are asking organizations from around the world, governments, academia, corporations, and anybody who feels they can contribute and wants to share their framework to be part of our community. We have started a journey in the belief that if we democratize those frameworks, we can accelerate learning from each other and do so a lot more. Today's speaker, Jordi, told us something about the frameworks of AI, human behavior, understanding us, ethics, and they also can be incorporated into those frameworks to make sure we make the right choices. We want to do the right thing in the right way. And with that, Jordi, I'm going to give you the first 30 seconds, which is the last big words, and we'll wrap this meeting up. 30 seconds. You have the floor. Don't mute, my friend.
Yeah, it's like I was mute. Yeah, so it's like as a highlight, I would say that technology it's able to improve ourselves, to work together, and for this implies to certify people in a way that they are doing things ethically, morally correct, because we will have augmented humans who will be able to control and evaluate others in a very competitive way. So we need to provide that solution to everyone. We also need to be very responsible. And I think that it's responsible solutions. It's like the most important things that now that we can understand human behavior in a better way.
Thank you, Jordi. We would like to have you back again in our yearly speaker series. Come back and share with us your next great successes and keep on pushing all of us to be better humans by using better technology, better solutions, and also remembering that we are ethical in how we do what we do. Thank you very much. Big hugs. Come back as often as you can.